Rick and Morty is an excellent show that has run for almost 12 years as of this video's release. And naturally, a show that has run for that long has pumped out tons of episodes, with 7 complete seasons and a grand total of 71 episodes being created in that time, as well as building up a massive fan base always eager to know the secret ins and outs of the show. This category includes myself, and after deeply analysing every episode and totally not binge watching them on Netflix over the years, I am now finding myself prepared to provide this hungry community one singular fact about every Rick and Morty episode. The first draft of the script for the pilot episode took approximately 8 hours to write. During this time, Justin Roiland refused to allow Dan Harmon to leave his office whatsoever because of his terrible procrastination problem. He's just like me. Lawnmower Dog contains the first and only physical appearance of Morty's pet dog Snuffles as of right now, not counting pictures and verbal mentions of him in later episodes. Of all of the staff working full-time at Anatomy Park in its self-titled episode, Annie is the only one who made it out alive. M. Night Shyamalan began a long-running bullying towards Jerry for being unemployed, as he lost his job in the post-credit scene of this episode and never managed to get a new one.
So, what do you think?
You're fired.
King Jellybean, the strange being that assaulted Morty in the bathroom in Me Seeks and Destroy, is played by the same voice actor as SpongeBob SquarePants. Let that sink in. Seriously. Rick Potion number 9 began the common trend among Rick and Morty episode titles in which almost all of which contain a character's name. In the courtroom in Raising Gazorpazorp, the stairs leading up to the judge's seat read Sis Semper Calumnium, which in Latin roughly translates to "You're always wrong." All of the interdimensional cable shows and commercials shown in Rick's D-Minutes were improvised by the voice actors on the spot, hence the potent presence of laughter and general tangents.
Two brothers and they're gonna, it's called Two Brothers. Two Brothers. It's just called Two Brothers.
A clip from Something Rick This Way Comes is featured in the Warner Bros. Movie Justice League. This is shown on a TV screen and Barry Allen's there when Bruce Wayne recruits him. In Close Rick Counters of the Rick kind, we see the Citadel of Ricks and hear about the Central Finite Curve for the first time. Rick See Business is the 11th episode of Season 1, Season 1 being the only season to contain 11 episodes rather than 10. A Wrinkle in Time was created as an entirely passive-aggressive justification as to why the show's creators disliked the concept of time travel. In Morty Night Run, when Rick, Morty, and Jerry enter the Jerry Buree, the human music from Season 1 Episode 4 can be faintly heard playing in the background.
This is Earth Radio, and now here's human music.
Human music.
The episode Autoerotic Assimilation suggested that Rick is pansexual rather than straight. This was later confirmed by Dan Harmon during an interview with The Guardian. In Total Recall, we see a false memory of Rick hoarding on-sale Nintendo 3DS systems with intent to sell them for full price when the sale ends to make money. This is a reference to Justin Roiland having pulled off this exact scheme in real life one time. The urban definition of the verb getting swifty, coined in the episode Get Swifty, believe it or not, is to completely let loose while at a party or other enjoyable event and leave the consequences to worry about another time. The adjective meaning of swifty is something that is perceived as cool, enjoyable, and/or impressive. The Ricks Must Be Crazy is Justin Roiland's favorite episode, according to IMDb trivia. Big Trouble in Little Sanchez contains the least amount of Rick burps out of every episode, containing only 1. This is not counting the 1 episode in Season 7 in which Rick does not appear. Interdimensional Cable 2, Tempting Fate, was the first Rick and Morty episode to receive a TV mature rating rather than 14+. Look Who's Purging Now was written by Dan Harmon in less than 24 hours as a purely filler episode, as Season 2's finale was initially going to be 2 parts, however had too big of a plot to only span 2 episodes. Thus, this plot was carried into a full arc in the following season, and Look Who's Purging Now was rushed to make up for the episode 9 slot. In The Wedding Squanchers, the post-credit scene involved Mr. Poopy Butthole saying that the next season, Season 3, would release in approximately a year and a half from Season 2's final air date.
Tune in to Rick and Morty Season 3 in like a year and a half.
This finale episode aired on October 4th, 2015, and the Season 3 premiere aired on April 1st, 2017, just 3 days away from a year and a half apart from each other. Dan Harmon's harmonious claptrap ending card changed for the first time in the show's history in the Rick Shank Redemption, switching from he and his significant other embracing on a couch to him lying alone drinking from an alcohol bottle. This change was implemented due to Dan and his wife having gotten divorced between the seasons. In Rick Mansing the Stone, the moving truck Jerry hires hires to bring his stuff to his new house is of the same company he hired to bring Rick's belongings to a nursing home in the pilot episode before going back on this plan. In the Emmy-winning episode Pickle Rick, the word pickle is said 38 times, and Solenia, which means pickle in Russian, is said 4 times, making a total of 42 utterances. While recording Vindicators 3, Return of World Ender, Justin Roiland actually got drunk in order to properly portray drunk Rick to a T. This recording was later cited by the show's creators as the most unproductive day they've ever had, as Justin had a hard time even performing in the booth and had to take huge breaks between takes.
Now you guys are realizing why this fucking method acting shit that Harmon wanted to do is a bad idea. Because we're such fragile creatures, the human race, or just any living thing.
In the whirly-dirly conspiracy, the design of Summer and Beth enlarging themselves and turning their skin inside out contains several references, such as Beth referring to Summer as having Clive Barkered herself, a reference to Hellraiser directed by Clive Barker, in which the main antagonist appears as a flayed and zombified corpse, as well as a nod to the design of the Colossus Titan from Attack on Titan. In Rest and Relaxation, Toxic Rick powers his toxicity beam with a microverse battery from Season 2, Episode 6. The Ricklantis mix-up is the highest rated episode in the series, sitting at 9.8 stars on IMDb at the time of recording this. At the beginning of Morty's Mindblowers, the Truth Tortoise's message to Morty reversed is, "I'm a beetle, Paul is dead," which is a reference to the old conspiracy theory that Paul McCartney died in 1966 and was replaced to keep the Beatles' relevancy. Around midway through the ABCs of Beth, Rick states that a man broke the front page of Reddit by making his toilet look like R2-D2 from Star Wars to entertain his kids during his rant about Beth calling him a bad father. However, no such real-life instance is known to have ever happened. The Arcturian Morty date references Minecraft more times than I can count on my fingers. These references include Rick and Morty actually playing it together, both on laptop and in VR, the President's portal being lit with a lighter, kind of like a nether portal, and when the president and his entourage walk down the hall discussing Rick and Morty's whereabouts, the sound of their footsteps is sampled from the game. In Edge of Morty, Rick Die Rick Pete, the phrase used by the bully, fait accompli, is French for a done deal. In The Old Man and the Seat, the QR code on Rick's commander's helmet is a real scannable code that leads to the Rick and Morty merchandise store. When Morty's memory is restored in one crew of the crew who's Morty, try and say that fast 5 times. In his delirious state, he says, "Whose kidneys are these?" which is a reference to Season 1 Episode 2 in which Rick gave Morty pills to make his kidneys shut down, which he replaced with an unknown pair off screen. In Claw and Hoarder, Special Rick Tim's Morty, a dragon refers to Summer as a man with a ponytail, paying homage to the fan theory that Summer's head design was mostly traced over Jerry's, the only 100% different drawn detail being the orange hair and ponytail. According to experts, the snake Slippy, seen in Rattlestar Galactica, is most likely a viper. These snakes are very venomous in real life, and it is never explained how Morty didn't receive any side effects from the many bites he sustained while preparing it for space. Story-train.com, the website shown in the post-credit scene of Never Ricking Morty, will redirect to the Adult Swim website's Rick and Morty section when searched. Prometheus was the first episode to follow a non-linear narrative, meaning the episode's events are not in chronological order. The fake solution that was supposed to resemble acid in the Vat of Acid episode according to Rick was actually just Mountain Dew mixed with jacuzzi water.
Wait, how do we know that's really acid and you didn't just have someone's bones in there?
I mean, if you're doubting if that's really acid and not just jacuzzi-heated Mountain Dew, you're welcome to use this ladle.
In Child Rick of Mort, Morty says they probably drove through a nebula that made them see their own fears, in response to Summer's question about the deaths of the ship pilot. This quote was likely a reference to the plot of the sci-fi movie, Sphere. In Star Mort, Rick Ton of the... I don't really know how to pronounce that. Rick's words when ordering his car to spare his family when killing the Gromflamites suggest that either the therapist is not human, or Rick views her as less than human. Knowing him, it's most likely the latter. The line in Mort Dinner Rick Andre when Morty says, "stripped down Sundance sci-fi bullshit," served as a brutal criticism of the 2006 movie, The Fountain. In the post-credit scene of Mortyplicity, the wooden Jerry is discovered by 2 humanoid beings, one being an anthropomorphic dolphin. This character is a throwback to the post-credit scene of the earlier episode, A Wrinkle in Time, in which the time cop says,
If you get to the dolphin people, you're going too far.
in A Rick Convenient Mort during the Wildfire Act, the forest that is on fire is named Maison Leon National Forest, named after the director of the episode, Juan Jose Meza Leon, several real-life Vegas hotels appear in the episode Rick Dependent Spray, including the Luxor, the Mirage, and the Excalibur. Despite being the 5th episode of Season 5, A Morty Can Graffiti was the first episode of the season to feature the portal gun. In Rick and Morty's Fanksploitation Spectacular before Morty throws the torch at FDR, he says, "How's this for a fireside chat?" which is a reference to the president's iconic series of radio broadcast speeches throughout his rule. The episode Gotron Jerisis Rick Vangelion was accidentally released 3 weeks early on July 11th, 2021 on Prime Video Canada, as it was mistakenly published in place of the episode Rick Dependent Spray, which was actually supposed to release on that day. The formation of Rick's band, The Flesh Curtains, previously seen in a framed photograph in Get Swifty, is shown directly in the episode Rick Eternal Friendshine of the Spotless Mort. On the wheel of Better Things Than Morty and Forgetting Sir Rick Mort Shell, one of the options is half a Paul Giamatti. Paul Giamatti having appeared on the show once beforehand, and for a second time in Season 6, as the voice of Storylord. In Rick Morai Jack, a freeze frame occurs where another version of Rick says, "Check out Season 1 Episode 9, after Evil Morty mentions having scanned Rick's brain, quote, a long time ago. However, this actually happened in Season 1 Episode 10. So Larix was the first Rick and Morty season premiere episode that did not end inside or around the garage. In Rick, A Mort Well Lived, Die Hard is said 40 times. The language the two Beths speak to each other in throughout Bethic Twinstinct is French. This language was picked because Beth's voice actor, Sarah Chalk, is fluent in French and wanted to show it off. She is also fluent in German, and of course, English. Rick's new space cruiser that he acquired in Season 6, Episode 1 in order to escape the rift is destroyed permanently in the episode Night Family and replaced with the old one. When Rick jumps into the crate full of fortune cookies in Final Desmithation, one of them reads, "Your crush will call you," alluding to the events of the future episode, Season 7, Episode 3, when Unity reaches out to him again. The creature that chases Rick and co toward the end of the show's intro physically appears in an actual episode only one time, which happened in Jurassic Mort after Rick shoots a portal in the living room. When Joseph Campbell offers soup to Rick and Morty in Full Meta Jack Rick, he mentions that he almost decided not to because of his last name being shared with the popular soup production company, Campbell's. Analyze Piss is the only Rick and Morty episode title to contain profanity. Several industry stars provide voice lines in A Rick and King Mortar's Mort, including Daniel Radcliffe, David Mitchell, Robert Webb, and Jack Black. Rictional Mortpoon's Rickmas Mortcation is the final episode of the series to feature Justin Roiland as the voice actor for Rick and Morty. After his departure, Rick's voice was recast to Ian Cardinale, and Morty's was recast to Harry Belden. It is revealed in How Poopy Got His Poop Back that Mr. Poopy Butthole's first name is Wayne. Inferred from a line by Rick's Garage, the events of the Jerick Trap take place on a Thursday. In Air Force One, one of the aliens from the president's crack team draws a picture of Rick being mauled by a large animalistic creature. This referenced the events of Season 7, Episode 9 when Rick is killed by Bigfoot. The first person Rick is shown siphoning spaghetti from at the beginning of That's a Morte was Amber Bunk's first husband, Lawrence Mapps. Because of the recasting of Rick's voice, during Unmort Rickon, the flashback to Season 1 where Evil Rick is killed was redubbed and reanimated to match lip syncing. Principal... I'm not saying that. Makes his first appearance since Season 3, Episode 9 in Rick Fending Your Mort. Wet Quat, A Mortican Summer is the first Rick and Morty episode title to feature Summer's name. Rise of the Numericons, the movie, is the lowest rated episode of the series so far, sitting at 4.5 out of 10 stars on IMDb at the time of recording this. Mort Ragnarok is currently the least viewed episode of the show, with approximately 290,000 total views. In Fear No Mort, Rick takes Beth and Diane for ice cream after meeting Diane again, mirroring what he was initially planning to do with them before they were killed by Rick Prime. And one more bonus fact before we finish. Throughout this video, I said the phrase Rick and Morty 16 times. Thank you for watching and have an awesome summer.